Today, with the legislation that's being brought forward, we fought and we pushed this government to deliver help for Canadians living with disabilities. These are people that have been waiting for months and months. They've not received any help. They've been completely missed. And so we fought to include some help for those living with disabilities. It's not enough, and we're going to continue to fight to ensure that everyone that is living with a disability in Canada gets the help they need. We also were able to push the government to deliver changes to the wage subsidy so that we could help more people get back to work and stay employed, and those are, again, changes that we were able to fight to achieve. But we know that's not enough. We need to see more childcare investments and supports for schooling. Right now, women have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. We're at some really chilling numbers. The participation of women in the workforce has hit its lowest mark in 30 years. And the only way we can address that is by investing in things like childcare, investing in schools. If kids have a safe place to go, then parents can get back to work, and that will particularly benefit women. So that's something really important for us. We're going to continue to fight for. Donc, on a eu la chance de pousser le gouvernement pour améliorer la subvention salariale. On est fiers de ce travail. Aussi avec l'aide pour les personnes qui vivent avec les handicaps. Ce sont des gens qui étaient complètement manqués par le gouvernement depuis des mois. Et on a poussé le gouvernement de livrer de l'aide pour les personnes qui vivent avec les handicaps. Ce n'est pas suffisant et on va continuer de pousser le gouvernement pour s'assurer que tout le monde qui vit avec un handicap reçoive l'aide dont ils ont besoin. Mais ce n'est pas suffisant en général. On sait que les femmes étaient plus impactées par la COVID-19 et il faut s'assurer que tout le monde a accès aux services de garde pour régler le grand problème qui était soulevé par COVID-19. C'est le fait qu'on est dans une situation où les femmes, la participation des femmes, c'est la pire dans 30 ans. Et pour régler ça, il faut faire les investissements dans les services de garde et aider les provinces à livrer ce service. Donc, that's my intro, and I'm ready for any questions you might have.
With the Canadian press, the Conservatives, in exchange for their support of the bill, seem to be able to get this debate pushed from 1 day to 2. They got the China Committee to sit. They got the Public Safety Committee to sit. What did you get in exchange for your support?
Well, the whole bill itself is something that we were able to negotiate. This was about help for Canadians living with a disability, something that the Liberals did not do at all. And from the beginning of this crisis, we've been saying this government has completely forgotten about Canadians living with disabilities. We were able to push the government to promise about 60 days ago to actually bring some help for Canadians living with disabilities without delay. Well, it took 60 days for this government to actually act. And again, we had to fight with them and push them to expand the help to more Canadians living with disabilities. The earlier proposal by the government, if you recall, would only help about 40% of Canadians living with disabilities. We were able to push them to include more help to more Canadians living with disabilities, which gets the number over a majority of Canadians that live with disabilities. It's still not enough, but we're going to continue fighting. We're also able to change the wage subsidy supports. We saw that program would have been really helpful in getting people connected to their work, but the government acted too slow and it was too limited. So we broadened the scope of the wage subsidy program so that more people will get the help they need to get employed or to stay at their jobs. So that's two major ways that we've helped. One is to make the wage subsidy more effective, to give help to more people, to get them employed, and two, to get help to Canadians living with disabilities. So those are two massive victories, on top of the fact that throughout this pandemic, we've been the ones that have been pushing help to Canadians, whether it's CERB, whether it's $2,000 instead of $1,000, whether it's ensuring that students get help who were initially ignored. All throughout this pandemic, it's been us that have been pushing this government to deliver help to Canadians.
Just pivoting to we a bit, where would you like to see this all go? Should the program still be run? Who should run it? Should the government be testifying? What are the next steps here, and what do you want to try and force as a party?
Well, I want help to go directly to students. And what we've seen is that this WE scandal was never about help to students. This was really a bailout to close friends connected to the Prime Minister and to the Liberal Party. If the Liberal Party, if the Liberal government really wanted to help out students, there's many existing programs. The Canada Summer Jobs Program could easily be extended, augmented, made wider, made for a longer period of time. If they really wanted to help students, when we can immediately address increased grants, helping students that are struggling with debt, make it easier to pay for tuition, reduce the tuition costs. There's so many things that this government could have done, and what we want to see happen is direct help to students, real help, not this gesture of help, which was really an attempt to bail out closely connected friends of the Liberal government and of the Prime Minister.
What did you want to see more? What do you want to see more when it comes to helping persons with disabilities?
Well, the current proposal, the government first started off with those who were recipients of the Canada Disability Tax Credit, which only applied to some Canadians living with disabilities. We expanded that to include the CPP definition as well as veterans. So we've got more Canadians covered now. But the problem is some of the most desperate Canadians living with disabilities are going to be missed by the proposal that the Liberals have put forward. We were able to make it better and cover more, but it still misses a lot of the most worse off Canadians living with disabilities. And those are the people we want to help out that need more help.
So just what more do you think they need to do? Like, I just don't understand. I think I know you've achieved that, but like, what more? Like, is it another payment? Like,
So it's financial support, of course, but the problem that the Liberal government has raised is that some of the people that need the most help are on provincial disability support programs, and the federal government is making this excuse that they can't get help to those and that they're unable to actually find exactly who needs it. I don't think that that's something that's an acceptable excuse. I don't believe that the federal government, with the power and resources that we have, can't make sure that everyone that needs help that's living with a disability gets that help. So initially, they were just going to help people who had a disability tax credit. We pushed them to include also those who are receiving, who make the CPP definition of those living with disabilities, as well as veterans living with disabilities, which was easy to do. That required no additional work. But the fact that the Liberals excluded them, to me, shows that they were always trying to do the minimum. We pushed them to do more. And now we're going to continue to fight to make sure everyone, those who aren't covered by these current proposals that are missed and are some of the most worst off, they are actually also going to get help. That's what we're going to continue to work to push this government to do.
Blanchet, you heard what he had to say yesterday. Was that enough? Does more need to be said? Does more need to be done?
When it comes to what we're seeing in Quebec, I think this is a really powerful moment where a lot of the Me Too movement that helped bring to light a lot of the abuse, a lot of the hidden stories, a lot of the pain that's been brushed under the rug is now coming forward. And I think that's a really powerful thing for us to confront as a society. I think we all need to confront the reality that women are abused so regularly, are the victims of violence so often. It is so wrong. And so we need to do something about it. And the first step is to acknowledge that this happens. This is a reality. And it's men that are perpetrating violence against women. And so I think we, as a society, need to do a lot better. I think Mr. Blanchet will have to speak for himself. But when it comes to people coming forward, it's scary. It's difficult. And the court system has shown to fail people many times when women do come forward. So they've taken other options to bring things forward in a social media context. This is really an indictment of the fact that it's hard for women to come forward, and that's the problem we need to get to. How can we make it so that women who face this type of violence don't have to feel afraid of coming forward, are able to do so, and the court systems and all the systems we have in place are actually more supportive and conducive to women coming forward. OK. Ce qui se passe maintenant au Québec, c'est vraiment un mouvement puissant. C'est quelque chose qui est difficile, mais c'est nécessaire. La réalité, c'est que les femmes font face de violences régulièrement. C'est inacceptable. C'est quelque chose qui brise ma cœur. Et il faut trouver une solution parce que maintenant, pour les femmes, le système de justice ne fonctionne pas pour les femmes. C'est difficile pour eux de partager leurs histoires, d'utiliser le système de justice parce que ça ne fonctionne pas pour la grande majorité des femmes. Donc, ils ont peur d'utiliser ce système. Donc, ce qu'il faut faire, c'est de faire les changements dans notre système de justice pour s'assurer que c'est plus facile pour les femmes de partager leurs histoires, d'avoir accès aux justice. Et ça, c'est la grande question. Pour M. Blanchet, je pense qu'il doit répondre aux questions de sa situation lui-même. mais je peux dire que de mon part, je vais continuer d'être un allié pour les femmes, d'aider de pousser pour les changements, pour les aider à présenter leurs histoires et de recevoir la justice.
But Blanchard isn't answering any questions today about this issue. Does he need to step aside? Does an independent investigation need to happen?
When it comes to the investigation component of this, that's going to be a decision that police forces will have to make based on the evidence that they have, and they'll make that decision. It should be based on evidence, and there seems to be some evidence there, and that's a determination that the police will have to make. What I can say when it comes to violence against women is that this is something we've got to deal with. It's been so long that women have had to hide their pain, hide their injuries, and had to push their stories under the carpet. And there's got to be a time where we say that's enough. People have to be able to come forward, and the justice system has to be able to respond to the realities that women aren't comfortable to come forward with their stories. They feel it's too difficult, and often they don't get justice from the justice system. And that's something I think we need to change, and I'm going to work as an ally to do whatever I can to make sure the system is better so women can come forward and don't feel fear about sharing what they've experienced.
What would you do if it was within your caucus, if the same kind of anonymous allegations were levied against a member of the New Democrats?
We've got a system in place where when there is an allegation, a protocol that we follow, and we've sadly had to use that in the past recently. And so we would follow our protocol to make sure that we are ensuring that women are able to come forward, that their stories are heard, and that we proceed in a way that respects that. And also, throughout the process, it has to be one that respects the survivor or the victim. They should be the ones that have decision-making or some agency over what happens next. That's also very crucial, I think, in moving forward in a way that's just and fair. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.